workout E. We're going to begin with our asymmetric squat, and we're going to start with either the suitcase squat or going into the same side squat. So as I've been saying in the other videos, we're looking at just trying to progress people, checking in, see where they're at, seeing if they're ready for the next progression, giving them a shot with it. So when it comes to the progressions on here, so if we've been going into that rack squat, what we're going to move into first then is going to be that suitcase squat. So staying in that kickstand position, we're tall and tight, going down into that squat, driving up. It's going to be straight sets for this. And when it comes to holding the position of the belt, you don't have to have it right outside in that position of as we would normally with a suitcase position. You can actually bring it in just a little bit more inward to just create space as you're going down into your squat. So we're keeping tall and tight, going down, driving up. You might feel a little bit more work in the adductor, so the inner thigh muscle, but that's just, again, looking at how we're progressing. We go from top position to a lower position, trying to keep ourselves balanced as we're going. So then the next progression would be going into the same side. So then from there, we're going to be placing all the weight on one side, trying to resist rotation on the opposite side. So working all the weight on one side, driving up, trying to keep yourself balanced as you're going through that motion. Next, we're going to go into the row series. So we're going into that row. The progressions I'm going to talk about is going into either that step back bent over row or that kickstand offset position. So with the progressions here, and also the focus for the program, we're going to be doing a count up. So each round we want to go for, I don't know, let's throw a number out there, like 10 reps within that time of working. Each round you want to try at least get 1 or 2 more reps. So when we're looking at bent over row position, that kickstand offset, so the place that I'm going to be going into is the kickstand here. So this is where I'm going to be holding the majority of the weight on the bag. Opposite's going to be in that offset position. So I'm going to go into that hinge. So then the working arm is going to be the arm that's in the kickstand leg position. Then I'm going to go into my row. So then again, the majority of the work's coming from this upper body that's in that kickstand position. From there, if we wanted to look at the next progression, is going to be that step back position. So that step back, bent over row, going into that deep lunge position. That bag's going to be slightly forward, keeping your chest up, rowing, watching that bag. So that bag's going to be close into the body, and then as you're going through that, you might see it go through the chest or up to the chest, and that's fine. Again, as you're going through that, keeping everything as straight as you can. That back foot driving into the floor. That heel of the stable leg, keeping it grounded. Next, we're going to be looking at the asymmetric hinge series. And with the asymmetric hinge, with those, we're going to be focusing on an iso hold at the bottom for a 3 count. With the progressions that I'm going to go over, is going to be the kickstand, same single arm, same side RDL, so the yellow belt and the green belt or that step back. So when I'm looking at that yellow belt, that kickstand, single arm, same side RDL, going into that kickstand position, and now from here, my stable leg, the leg that's going mainly into that hinge, is going to be loaded. I'm going to reach down and pause. 1, 2, 3, drive up. So again, I'm going to go into that kickstand position, slide bend the knee, reach my hips back, pause. 1, 2, 3, drive up. The goal of that position is to really feel for the glute and the hamstring being loaded at that bottom, so that bottom pause. If we're looking at the green belt, where it would be that step back, single arm RDO, same motion, but as we go through it, stepping back, 1, 2, 3, stand tall. Step back, 1, 2, 3, stand tall. The goal here is to make sure that you're focusing on trying to keep the balance of the inside of the foot down as you're pausing at the bottom of that hinge. Lastly, we're going to be going into our pressing series, and with the pressing series, just straight sets here. I'm going to be going over the military press and the kickstand overhead press. So with that military press, what that's going to look like is you're going to place that bag onto the fist. You're going to bring your feet in together. So the military position is your feet are together. From here, keeping those shoulders down, pressing up, then pulling back down. So the reason that this is more of a challenge now is that we've had a stable base of support with both the feet spread apart. Now we're closing that in. So the base of support has become more narrow, so that overhead press becomes a little bit more challenging. The other progression that we can look into is that kickstand overhead press. So it's the same thing as an overhead press, keeping the bag onto the knuckles, but now I'm just going into a kickstand position, pressing up. So I went from a very unstable base of support to a assisted single base of support. So as we're progressing through those presses, the goal here is just to make sure that we're keeping everything tight as we're pressing up overhead. It helps trying to think as if you're pulling the bottom handles apart as you're pressing to just help with getting the lats a little bit more engaged as you're pressing up. For conditioning, we're going to be doing speed squats, 15 seconds work, 15 seconds rest, 15 seconds work, 15 seconds rest. Just keeping it at a consistent pace, quick, fast, and explosive. If you want to add in another variation to make it more intense, you can go back into that cross crawl at the top.